The United States Congress has been in operation for more than 230 years. Knowing some basic facts about the members who have served in this institution will enable you to gain some new perspective on this important branch of American government. How many people should be elected to Congress? The method for choosing representative was a contentious topic during the 1787 Constitutional Convention. The framers ultimately chose to select House members in accordance with the idea of equitable population representation. A state has more choice in representatives the more citizens it has. Additionally, they determined that senators would be chosen in accordance with the idea of equal representation for all states. We select 2 senators from each of the 50 states that exist today. The Senate has 100 senators as a result. A representative must represent 30,000 people, according to the Constitution. Congress first met in March 1789 with just 59 House members. Given the exponential population growth, that ratio quickly became obsolete. The number of representatives in the House increased from 59 to 435 members by 1910. This number was set as the permanent upper limit on the size of the House by the 1929 Permanent Apportionment Act. Today each representative represents over 700,000 people. In addition, there are 6 delegates in the House of Representatives who represents Washington, D.C., and 5 other smaller U.S. overseas territories, a delegate representing the District of Columbia, a resident commissioner representing Puerto Rico, as well as 1 delegate for each of the other 4 permanently inhabited U.S. territories, American Samoa, Guam, the Northern Mariana Islands, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. They are non-voting members. At least 12,421 people have served in the legislative branch since the first Congress convened. About 680 people have served in both chambers. The total number of individuals elected to Congress, including individuals serving in both bodies, is 11,107, as of January 2022. An additional 145 people have served only as territorial delegates in the House and 33 people have served only as resident commissioners from Puerto Rico or the Philippines. Since 1973, 69 representatives and 15 senators have died in office. 68 members of Congress have been convicted of crimes while in office. 20 members of Congress have been expelled from Congress, 5 from the House and 15 from the Senate. They were found guilty of bribery, fraud, corruption, tax evasion, drunk driving, and embezzlement. The 2 most recent expulsions came after members were found guilty of charges related to public corruption. Since 1789, there have been at least 20 incidents of attacks against members. 10 of the attacks either failed, were stopped, or did not seriously hurt any members. At least 9 members were injured because of 5 other events. Finally, 5 incidents each resulted in a member's death. Only 3 requirements are stated explicitly in the U.S. Constitution as being necessary to serve as a U.S. Senator or Representative in Congress: age, 25 for the House and 30 for the Senate, citizenship, at least 7 years for the House and 9 years for the Senate, and residency in the state at the time of election. The House member serves a 2-year term. Senators serves a 6-year term. There are no term limits. The average length of service in the Senate is 11 years, that is 1.8 terms, and the average in the House is 8.9 years, that is 4.5 terms. The longest-serving member of Congress is Representative Don Young of Alaska, who served in the House for 48 years. It costs money, and a lot of money, to win a congressional seat. In 2020, a successful House campaign typically cost $2.4 million. The expense in the Senate was $27 million. For example, a House member running for re-election needs to raise more than $3,000 each day throughout their 2-year tenure, while a senator running for re-election needs to raise $12,328 per day during their 6-year term. Therefore, fundraising consumes a sizable portion of a legislator's free time. Current campaign finance law limits individual contribution to campaign to $2,700 per person per election. Legislator must reach out to a much greater audience to get the money they need. Today, the average age of the House was 58 and the average Senate member was 64. 75% of the 117th Congress is white, while only about 62% of the U.S. population is white. In terms of gender, 149 members of Congress are women, or about 28%, while women make up about half the U.S. population. There are 11 LGBTQ+ people serving in Congress, or about 2%. while the latest estimates show the percentage of the population who is LGBTQ+ is 7% to 8%. About 96% of Congress is college-educated, with about 23% attending Ivy League schools. While more than 1 in 3, 36%, have a law degree, only about 17% have military experience. Congressional pay: the base salary for a member of Congress is $174,000. The Speaker of the House makes $223,500, while the Senate President and the majority and minority leaders in the House and Senate make $193,400. The average U.S. salary is about $53,490 a year. So legislators are paid 3 more times than average Americans. The federal employee retirement system currently administers the congressional pension. The civil service retirement system covered lawmakers up to 1987. As of October 1, 2016, 611 former members of Congress were receiving government pensions that were partially or entirely dependent on their time spent in Congress. An average annual pension of $74,028 was being paid to 335 of these individuals who had retired under the civil service retirement system. In 2016, 276 members received an average annual pension of $41,076 after retiring with service under the federal employee retirement system. Members of Congress have given themselves some perks. They can fly free for most of their trips between their home and Washington. Legislators get free parking space at Reagan National Airport and Dulles International Airport in Washington, D.C. Their license plate allows free parking sometime in illegal zone. Not only are members of the House of Representatives treated to their own exclusive gym, but it also comes with flat-screen TVs, a swimming pool, a sauna and steam room, and paddleball and basketball courts. House members receives a $900,000 annual allowance for staff as well as a $250,000 budget for travel and office expenses. Each senator gets $3.3 million allowance. Should a member of Congress be killed while in office, the surviving family of that member would be entitled to receive at least 1 year's worth of salary, or a minimum of $174,000. According to the congressional calendar released in late 2012, there were 126 congressional sessions on the docket without a single 5-day workweek, leaving members of Congress with 239 days to work outside of Congress. Sometimes this means working within their home state. A franking privilege is granted to members of Congress. Through U.S. post systems, they are free to send out massive campaign mailings. Laws, however, forbid senators to do so with less than 60 days before a primary or general election and House members with more than 90 days before to any such election. The right to filibuster gives senators the opportunity to speak for as long as they like in front of the Senate. Typically, this tactic is employed to postpone or obstruct floor deliberations on a bill. If a closure rule is adopted by 2/3 of the senators, it can be ended. The 24-hour, 18-minute speech that was the longest filibuster was delivered. Members of the U.S. legislature are exempt from arrest when Congress is in session in all cases, except treason, felony, and breach of the peace according to the Privilege from Arrest Clause, which is stated in Article I, Section 6 of the U.S. Constitution. Additionally, the provision shields congressmen from arrest while traveling to or from legislative sessions. Congress has enacted numerous stringent ethical guidelines in an effort to combat corruption. Legislators are not permitted to accept speaking fees. No staff members or members may ask for presents for themselves. Free meals are seen as presents. Under House and Senate rules, gifts from individuals who are lobbyists, foreign agents, or have another interest in congressional business are of great concern and call for the utmost vigilance. Under the previous laws, lobbyists, foreign agents, and their private clients were allowed to provide gifts under $50 to members of the House and Senate. However, the House has effectively prohibited any member or staff from traveling by non-commercial, private aircraft. After leaving office, House members are not allowed to lobby anyone in their former chamber for a year. This ban lasts for 2 years for senators. Up until the election of their replacement, members are not permitted to engage in private employment talks or agreements. The House Ethics Committee fined former Georgia Congressman and the House Speaker Newt Gingrich $300,000 in 1997 for his reckless or intentional use of charitable organizations for partisan political purposes. His resignation followed. There are 435 legislators on Capitol Hill, and there are around 9,000 staff members working for them, 20-to-1 ratio. Washington, D.C. is home to more than 12,137 registered lobbyists, 2021 number. In other words, there are 20 congressional staff members for every member of Congress, and 23 lobbyists surround them. Members of the House are given a $900,000 annual staff allowance as well as a $25,000 budget for travel and office costs. Each senator is given a $3.3 million budget. For most of their trips between their home states and Washington, D.C., members of Congress travel for free. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe this channel and leave any comments in the comment area.